All right, so good morning, everyone, and welcome to our November PTO meeting. We have a great agenda today. We'll have some PTO updates. Dr. Cook is here, our superintendent of schools, to do a presentation on the Madison School renewal update, as well as answer some questions. We have visitors and guests from Madison Youth and Family Services, Melissa Boletto and Justin Ziegler, which we're excited for some information on. And then I'll update everyone on the end of trimester 1, which is amazing, we're already there, and what the exam schedule is going to look like. So at this point, it's my pleasure to introduce, and really not an introduction is needed, our superintendent of schools, Dr. Cook, who is going to take some time to share some important information with the high school PTO and also take some time to answer some questions. So Dr. Cook, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Salvatore. It's great to be here this morning. Thanks everybody for joining us on this beautiful fall morning. I will screen share a presentation in a moment, and then I'm happy to take any questions regarding the presentation. I can go back to any slides you might have any questions on. It might be hard for me as we go through it to answer questions because I won't be able to see you once I start sharing my screen, but I'm happy to answer any at the end, and then happy to answer any questions just in general while I'm here. So I will start with sharing my screen. TJ, it says that I'm disabled from doing so at this point.
I will fix that, Dr. Cook. I thought I hit the correct setting.
No problem.
Can you try now?
Yes. Perfect. How does that look?
Looks great.
Great. Okay, thank you. So this is a larger presentation. I just wanted to have it all available in case there were some questions that I could go back to. I'll go through it, like I said, relatively quick. All this information is on our website, along with a whole host of other information, whether you're interested in the financials or more information about other parts of the project. It is all on the website. And then also we're presenting this tonight to the board of selectmen and the board of finance, as well as the public. So another opportunity if you don't get your fill this morning, but feel free to log in or join us. So one of the big questions I received, because there's been so much discussion and action around this over the last really 10 years, but the last 5 years in particular, is how did we get here? And I break this up a little bit in the next slide, so I just want to share that for you. So basically, as those of you who've been in town for a little while know, the board had looked at a project that would have built a new Ryerson school in 2017. That project failed. And so after that point, they looked at all the schools and then what was next? What did we need to do to our schools to keep them up to date? I think everyone would agree. There's magic that happens in our elementary schools. I mean, it's a great climate. It's fantastic teachers, great curriculum, excellent administration, just really great things. But if you look at the outside of our buildings, it's not as attractive. And, we have some interior spaces that could be better utilized. And so, we've looked at that, but they came up with a $100 million capital maintenance plan that really doesn't address that. It would address things like roofs and HVAC systems. So that's a lot of money to not really come out with new educational spaces. And so what happened in the fall of 2018, they looked at that, like there's got to be a better way forward for our district. Like it's good to have that $100 million plan in place, but are there other options? And then what happened with the other options is they started to hold meetings, with the public. They held forums. They got information from organizations, realtors, and they looked at over 50 options, everything from building a brand new high school to building a middle school to building 3 elementary schools. So I mean, it really everything you can possibly think of that has been considered. And what the groups felt was that the best option for was to build one new elementary school and work on Brown, do some renovations interior to Brown to make that a K-5 building, bring air conditioning, a new HVAC system into Polson as well as fix the auditorium, but then keep that a large portion of that $100 million, about half of that, in place for Daniel Hand, for our other buildings, because there were some projects that wouldn't be addressed through this major referendum. And so it really captures everything that we need to do as a district, pretty much everything as we need to do as a district going forward. And so that landed on a 4-school model. We basically have 6 schools now when you think of TCLC, and our 2 elementary schools, Brown, Polson, and Hand. And so going with 4 schools takes off all the modules. It really brings us forward, makes us more efficient as a school district, brings air conditioning throughout the entire district and new HVAC systems throughout the entire district. So that was the plan that was adopted. And so I covered most of this already. So what does it entail? It entails, as I mentioned, a new pre-K to 5 elementary school. I'll talk about where that's located, because I think that's an exciting piece of this project, and certainly impacts the high school. I mean, we're such a small district that anything that happens at one school really does impact. If we fund a project at one school, it means there's probably a project at another school that's not funded. So we're really connected in that way. So it's really important to think of us as a full school district. So the new pre-K to 5 elementary school would be on land on Mungertown Road. So originally the project was slated to be out on the softball fields in front of Polson. Would have had some positives, but certainly some impact in terms of traffic, and taking 2 beautiful softball fields offline for 2 to 3 years that would then eventually move to where Jeffrey is now. And so also a higher cost, believe it or not, than buying land. So the moving the softball fields, relocating them, and then redoing them as they are is about $2 million. The land itself purchase is $1.3 million. And so the impact is greater financially. Keeping that previous project, but this project will not impact our schools as this school will be being built. A big thing I knew for the town was a full-size elementary gym, and so we were able to go beyond space standards by the state of Connecticut to build a full-size gym for an elementary school that could hold full court basketball. I know this is a town that's very involved in environmental issues and very concerned. And so we're certainly making sure it's a high performance building, potentially even net zero. It would have geothermal wells and solar panels as it stands right now. It would house 600 students. Security is a big issue for me. And so it had the latest security standards in place. I've already mentioned, it would replace portables, and we build on Mungertown. In terms of where this is located, as you can see, it's right around the corner from the Hand and Polson campus. So it's really a great location for us. In terms of that, it would not impact, as I mentioned, the softball fields or traffic. It will be about the same as we are right now. Certainly not going to make traffic any better. That's not part of the project, but in terms of where you consider where Jeffrey is, it's about the same in terms of Green Hill traffic coming each day in morning and afternoon. But we were very concerned. I certainly was very concerned when I thought about it that we'd add another drop off pickup time to this area, to those roads. So Brown School, it's just a fantastic school. It's very unique, but we would need to make some major renovations in terms of making it a school suitable for kindergarten and first grade. And so we were looking at the back wing at this point to make that a kindergarten and first grade wing. We need to do bathroom and ADA upgrades throughout the building. We've been doing security upgrades all along, but would certainly do additional ones. And we need to do furniture renewal for the library. Not part of this project, but certainly something that's we're looking at and would fund as a school district as an outdoor classroom. Just incredible outdoor spaces in the Brown campus, and want to utilize that. I think that's one positive coming out of COVID is consideration of utilizing outdoor spaces more often, and certainly that's something we do pretty well here in Madison and want to do even better. But then I always want to point out that Brown has existing assets, because I've had families ask me, so half the town might get a new building and half the town gets an existing building. How is that equitable? There are pieces of Brown that are going to be better than the new school, and so we would have a full-size gym that's even bigger than the one that would be built at the new school. An auditorium, that's not something the state supports for an elementary school, so we have a large-size auditorium. It's really built as a middle school, obviously. Already has the updated HVAC and the AC systems in our school, updated outdoor play area, and then art and music rooms that really reflect more of a middle school than an elementary school, but and when I say that, I mean they're better. They're larger. There's a chorus room, art, aspects. So it's really a great setup for an elementary school once this is completed. Some of the things that we're doing, just to show some pictures. So this is happening this coming summer. We are enhancing the area where you walk into Brown. So that entranceway, it's underutilized, but a good space to do so. We have some outdoor tables, some security by having some fencing and planting around it, and then better sight lines from the office to the outside. And then as we're going through all our schools, we're looking at the need for bollards, which are basically decorative, cement structures that really wouldn't allow, say a bus or a car to back into that area and keep our students safe. The other piece with Brown, the way it's built, it's a little bit under ground level, and so what we want to do is increase the windows, and so that's an actual sight line out of the school. But these windows right now are about half that size, so we bring those down farther to give students and staff a better sight line to outside and bring in more outside sunlight. So Polson, 1960s building, obviously everybody's aware that was the former high school. Great space, and when I talk about the age of the buildings, that's not necessarily a concern if the building's kept up to date. If we've done all our work, if we've done the roofs, if we've done the HVAC systems, the boilers, that there's plenty of schools that age that are highly operational and very effective. So we do need to bring air conditioning through all of Polson. That will complete air conditioning for the entire district. We need electricity upgrades coming into the building in order to do that. So we have to do quite a bit of work to be able to do that. I've had families ask me, can we buy an air conditioner for my child's classroom? It's not that we can't buy the air conditioning, it's the electrical project. And so this is something that has to happen, eventually. And so having this as part of the project then frees up money elsewhere. We have a good size auditorium there. It does need some upgrades and improvement. It's not air conditioned now, but doing that will allow us to make this more of a community asset and be able to use by the whole community. So in terms of
interrupt.
Yes, please.
And I see the main slide stuck on the screen. Can you share like presentation mode and see if that changes the view? Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. How long have I been stuck?
Been stuck for a little while, but your details are incredible.
Okay, thank you. Anything seem to work?
Can you go to slideshow and select the from current slide possibly? Let's see if that does anything.
All right, I'm going to.
Now, how about close it and share it one more time?
Yeah, I'm going to do that. All right.
The good news is we're used to technology glitches, so we'll figure it out.
Any questions so far while I open this back up? Is that working?
Yes,
Oh, good. Okay.
thank you.
No problem.
All right, that disappeared now and your email's up.
Oh,
There you go.
that's good.
Yes.
Okay. Catch us up. All right, so I think I was at Polson. So basically, as I mentioned, the auditorium would be upgraded, AC, and electrical upgrades for the building. So in terms of enrollment, something we've been watching very, very closely. I believe this was happening, pandemic or not, and so I think that that's something to be aware of. You know, that post-pandemic, you know, I think Madison will still see a increase in enrollment. We did see probably a sharper and earlier than we would have otherwise with the number of families moving in. It was a very busy summer, lots of younger students coming in. And then also birth rate in town is much higher. It's about 40 children higher than it was just 5 years ago. And so in 5 years, all those students will be coming into kindergarten. So we're expected to see kindergarten classrooms back and approaching 200 than they were. As high school knows, you know, we graduated 285 last year and brought in, you know, about 200. So we have seen, you know, that decrease in enrollment over the years, and that's something that's not unique to Madison. It's very common for Connecticut, what we've seen throughout the state. But we start to see really a relatively sharp for us and for Connecticut increase at K-3. Not a huge jump, but that's pretty significant. You're looking at about another classroom each year as we go through, and we're hoping for those students to be spread out. We're excited about the information, but we would hope that they're spread out throughout the K-3 and not all coming in at one grade level, obviously. In terms of intermediate school, similar story here. You know, we've kind of hit the bottom of the enrollment, and then we start to come back up and rebound. We don't believe we'll be back at the 0809 numbers, but we are, you know, increasing, which again is nice and positive. I think it's something that you know, shows the strength of the school district and that people want to be here, but also it will allow us to continue to offer all the programs. I mean, the administration and board have done an amazing job here. I can't take any credit for that, of keeping all the, you know, the programs in place that we've had when we were a much larger school district. That's pretty uncommon in education. So costs. So the three projects combined cost $89 million. As I mentioned, it's about $100 million if we do nothing. The good news with going through a major referendum is there's a $10 million reimbursement from the state. And so the state reimburses school districts based on their relative wealth. And obviously we're on the higher end of that in Connecticut, but we would get about 18% reimbursement from the state, and that amounts to $10 million on the new elementary school. And certainly that's something we want to take advantage of. And so the project to taxpayers would be $79 million. And in terms of project financing, I think it's, you know, I feel this is really important to point out. Madison as a town does not do a lot of bonding. There's very, very little major projects. You know, many districts and towns that I've worked in previously bond every year for projects. but they, town has been very conservative in that manner, and so that allows us to do so in this case and not have as major an impact. As you can see, we have some expiring debt. That red is basically Han High School and some other projects that is expiring some each year. But the blue line would be the new project. So that would be the bonding associated with that. The green line represents where the Board of Finance set their policy of 10% of debt service. So you can see we get nowhere near that amount. And then in terms of impact to the average household, so we set this up as $100,000 impact. And so this is on the assessed value. So if there's a house that's kind of a market rate of 600,000, the assessed value is roughly 400,000, and so you would take that and multiply it times 4. So the average impact over the 24 years would be about $600 a year to a $600,000 house in Madison. As you can see, because we bond as the project goes through, we don't bond ahead of time. So there's a kind of a peak and then it comes down. Bonding allows us to pay for the project over basically 20 years. In terms of where this stacks up, as I mentioned, this project would be $79 million after state reimbursement. We'd still have $50 million in CIP. That addresses athletics, it addresses many projects at Han High School. So things we need to do regardless. There are some estimated cost savings. We do not go heavy into staff. As I mentioned, we're not a district that's looking to cut programs or cut staffing, and we want to keep what we have. So we don't go heavy into staffing implications. In fact, the one piece I always tell people in terms of that, I had somebody just yesterday ask me. I said, "So you need one less principal?" And I said, "Actually, no. We're gonna need basically one more administrator, because right now TCLC with 40 students is the principal is Liz Battaglia, our special ed director. And what happens with the increasing enrollment, we would have 2 buildings of about 600 students. And so that is a principal and assistant principal. So when you look at that, we have a principal of Brown, a principal of Ryerson, a principal of Jeffrey. We would need 4 administrators, 2 for each of the new buildings. And so we actually would go up an administrator. There certainly are some other costs, clerical, some custodial. There's definitely some savings, potentially paraprofessionals, but we want to be careful and not overpromise, especially in light of increased enrollment. So we may be decreasing, one position, but adding another elementary teacher. And we want to be upfront with that. Certainly electrical, if we on the high end of the savings would be $100,000 of electrical savings each year. Transportation, it's as you all know, the town is pretty well spread out. It takes a while to get from one corner to the other. So we still have to pick up students throughout the town, but it would be one less drop-off time. So there's some efficiencies potentially there. We would take off the module classrooms, which do require some upkeep, and those are supposed to be temporary. The ones next to my office here are 20 years old. So we, again, it's something we're at the point where we need to take some action. We just have, and these are cards, they're available through central office. We've sent some out, we put them out in businesses. Just why is it best for students, staff, community, taxpayers? I've really kind of covered that already. In terms of our efforts from here, where do we go from here? Just tonight is a big presentation for us. Board of Selectmen will consider the project and hopefully recommend it on the 22nd. We have to do some work with planning and zoning. Board of Finance will hopefully recommend it on December 15th. Then a Board of Selectmen meeting on January 10th will take action on it again, and then a special meeting on February 1st would put it for a referendum on February 15th. Questions? I will keep the slideshow open in case I need to flip back to one of those to better answer your question. Or if you think of something after, there are There's an email box on our website to submit questions. So or call the office, send me an email, send Zoe Roos an email. You know, we're open to answer any questions. You know, I know as families, you get asked questions, especially you know, being active in the PTO, and we just want to make sure we have all the information in your hands to be able to do that. So not everybody at once.
Sorry, Dr. Cook, everyone's muted. So if you have a question, just unmute yourself and jump right in. You don't have to raise your hand, just feel free. That was a very thorough presentation, Dr. Cook, but I'm sure there has to be a question or two.
Can you show real quick where it is located, since the slides didn't work before?
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
You can see that, correct? Yeah, so this plot of land right here is open now. If you drive down Mungertown Road coming towards the high school, it's on the right side. Pretty nice field, relatively flat. It does slope off here. Originally, the project was set to be on the softball fields, which, you know, I think would have worked, but 2 to 3 years with those fields being down, those are heavily utilized, as well as the field next door. You know, as I drive by during the weekdays and weeknights, and even on the weekends, I've seen that heavily utilized, and would have, I think, added to the traffic issues, you know, that we have on our main campus. And then, you know, the one thing I didn't talk about was what happens with the 2 elementary schools. So Ryerson would be leveled. There's actually money in the project to level Ryerson and return it to a grass field. This project, because we're buying the land, maintains Jeffrey as a potential asset. So we most likely would take off the portables. All school buildings in Connecticut are operated by the school district. But the minute we stop operating them as a school district or maintaining them, we give them back to the town. So we didn't want to be in a position, as the town has been before, where schools sit vacant and not have a plan for it. So we're working on that now. That's why we had funding there available for Ryerson to address that. But I think Jeffrey, the main building at Jeffrey, is in really good shape. And so we'd be able to potentially utilize that as a town / school / community space. Or, you know, eventually the town could choose to do something different with that land, but we wanted to have a plan for each of those sites. As well, concurrent to this project, the town is looking at a community center for Academy School, and then Island is in the process of being sold. So we would not be in a position where, you know, there's 4 schools that are, you know, unanswered questions for what they will be.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question. All right. Well, TJ, I know you have a full agenda. I will kick it back to you then. And as I mentioned, if anybody has any questions that come up, don't hesitate to contact us.
Great, Dr. Cook. I appreciate you taking the time to share that information. Actually, I knew a lot about the project, but I think I know more about it now. So it was really helpful. And again, if anyone has any questions, I really encourage you to reach out to Dr. Cook. Again, he'll respond pretty quickly. And we are going to transition. I know, Kyler, you were not on when we started, which is okay. I'll call you out in front of everyone while we're recording this.
My technical issues.
No worries. We all have experienced those over Zoom. But if you are okay with doing a couple of PTO updates right now, and then we'll go over the Madison Youth and Family agenda item, that would be great. So thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks, TJ. Again, sorry for being tardy. Thank you, Dr. Cook, for coming today. And I'm actually looking forward to listening to Madison Youth and Family Services tell us about their programs again. So thank you for our visitors. I just had a few updates. One is if you haven't paid your dues yet, we're still happily accepting PTO dues. The easiest way is to pay by Venmo, but you're also welcome to send in a check with your child to the school office. It's $25 per family is what we're suggesting. But those are really helpful. We are hoping to have a full slate of activities this year. So, our parent support is actually really helpful. One of the activities that we will be going ahead with, at least at this date, is we'll have our first blood drive at school on December 17th. More information will be coming out in our next PTO meeting and via email, but just wanted to put that out there. Students 18 and over can donate, and now students 16 and over with parental permission can donate. So we really hope some of the kids can consider donating this year, and the PTO just gets involved with helping provide refreshments and things. And the last thing I want to do is we've had some board vacancies, and we finally have a full board together for this year. And I just wanted to introduce everybody. I don't think everybody's here today, but I just wanted to run through the names so everybody had an idea who is on the board. This is also available on the PTO page of the Daniel Hand website. But I'll start. Our secretary is Nicole Wiles. Our treasurer is Tracy Hardy. Our VP in charge of hospitality is Jan Scott. And our other VP is Beth Scudder. And I'm the PTO president this year. So I just wanted to introduce those. Feel free to reach out on our PTO email, which is also on the website. If you have any questions or suggestions or concerns, any of us are always willing and happy to communicate with parents. So I think that's all I had today, but please, if you have suggestions for meeting speakers in particular, we're always looking for that to make the meetings more pertinent and accessible to parents. Thank you.
Great, Kyler. Thanks for the updates. One I'll mention that we've talked about in our executive meetings is Night in Hand. That is a non-school event because it really is for our graduated seniors. So they're not ours anymore. It's an incredible event. And even last year, when we didn't think anything would happen, the parent volunteers stepped up and I thought offered an incredible, different, but incredible opportunity for our graduating class. Each year, it seems like the number of parent volunteers seems to lessen a little bit. If it gets to a point of too small, Night at Hand won't be able to happen. So, that's a little pressure from the high school principal. If you know someone who has some talent or some time, I think it could be a wonderful opportunity to give the current class of seniors, a great send-off after graduation. And we hope this tradition continues. We usually send out the pleas for volunteers early in the year, and this is a plea. You'll hear more and more information about Night at Hand, but it's really a spectacular event. And if COVID continues as is right now and doesn't get worse, we're looking at a very typical Night at Hand, which is exciting. We're looking forward for that opportunity. So more to come on that topic, but if you have a little free time, or even better, a lot of free time, and you'd like to volunteer, you could reach out to me or Kyler or any of the PTO executive board, and we'll point you in the right direction. So I'm going to transition now to a usual visitor to our PTO meeting and guest, Melissa Boletto from Madison Youth and Family Services, and newer, I don't think new anymore, Justin, that card is worn off, but newer to Madison Youth and Family Services, Justin Ziegler was recently joined over the summer. They're going to talk about some programs that are run at the school and some ways your children can get involved. And we usually bring them back for several PTO meetings, and they have great information and do really excellent work with us and with our student body. So Melissa and Justin, I'm going to turn it over to you, and thank you for attending today.
Thank you, TJ. So first, I just want to say I'm noticing a lot of names on here of parents whose kids go to Hand, obviously, and they are involved in our program. So it's nice to see that. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Melissa Boletto. I work at Youth and Family Services. I've been there for about 16 years. I currently have a son who's a senior and a son who is a sophomore at Hand. So I'm also, a parent. So I see the side of having kids at the school, but also being involved with kids in a different way, which is pretty a unique experience. I'm going to let Justin introduce himself. And I do have to say, after speaking with many staff and students at hand, Justin is a breath of fresh air. They are loving his energy, and just having him be around the school and bring in new light to life, actually, to some of our programs. It's really nice to have another lens looking at this. So I am very ecstatic to have Justin on our team. So Justin, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thanks, Melissa. Hey, everyone. My name is Justin Ziegler. And while Melissa has been with MYFS for 16 years, I've been here for 16 weeks. But I'm more than thrilled to be here. Previously, I was at the Youth and Family Services of Norwich, Connecticut. Doing very similar work, but I was thrilled when this position opened because my husband and I moved to Madison about 5 years ago. And it's nice to be 10 minutes down the road as opposed to an hour commute. And two, I love this town and serving this town and serving our kiddos here. Yeah, so that's I'm excited to be here. I bring a couple different experiences in youth engagement and youth development. A lot of my work is doing things, projects. I love feelings. I have lots of feelings. We all have lots of feelings. I love talking about those feelings. I also love doing projects and getting stuff done. So you may be hearing a lot of that kind of stuff from our office, but I am thrilled to be here. And thank you so much for having us at this meeting.
We are happy to say that all of our programs are up and running in a typical fashion, meeting students in person, being at the school all the time, unlike last year. So it's a good feeling for us to feel that we're somewhat back to normal. The only program that we are not operating that we have in the past is Safe Rides. And that's because of the close proximity the kids would have with each other in a car. So that program is temporarily on hold until further notice. Hopefully we can get that back up and running. So our peer advocates we have 2 trainings currently going on now. Next round of training will begin in February. So freshmen will be allowed to apply for peer advocates in January. So if you have a freshman or really any student at the school now, the next round of applications come out in January. So all of our programs, like I said, are running. We have a Girls United program that our focus this year is sexual assault and domestic violence. So that will be our focus for the year for sure. We do a mentoring program at Jeffrey where some hand students go in after school and do one-on-one mentoring with the little ones there. We also are taking on a really big initiative of doing a QPR training for all the students at hand this year. QPR training is a suicide prevention program that we run. So as of this Friday, we will have trained all the freshmen who are currently taking PE. And so by the end of the school year, we will have trained all freshmen and hopefully other classes. I'm working with Mr. Gwynn on that right now. So yeah, it's a big initiative, but we are ready to do that. And Justin, do you want to talk about any of your stuff or anything else that we're doing?
Yeah, so we also have a boys group called Boys Council that meets after school. And that is a group of young men, male identified students that meet with me after school. And we have lots of conversations. If you want to sit in on a really funny group of like a hilarious conversation, that is my Boys Council on Mondays. They're just high school boys. They just make me laugh. So that's a program that we have. We also have our colleague at Madison Youth and Family Services, Aaron Corbett, runs our Gender and Sexuality program, GASP, and that's a group for LGBTQIA+ students and allies. And that is conversation, support, project planning, things like that, where they meet. We're also Roots is a group that we've been doing at hand for the past few years, and we're continuing to work on that. And that's going to relaunch with some gusto come the second trimester, and we're excited about that. We have some new plans for that coming up. Melissa, did I miss anything coming with our hand programming?
No, something that I want parents to know, because I see, like I said, a lot of your kids are involved in our programs. All of our programs at hand are student led. I would say really, except for the peer advocate training, is completely student led. So we follow the lead of where the kids want to go and the issues and the trends that they're seeing. You know, peer advocate alumni is definitely student led, just the training is not. But all of our other programs are. And we do have feeder programs down at Polson. So I'm sure some of you may even have, you know, kids at Polson. We have peer helpers, we have allies, we have a boys council there as well, girls leadership group, Rainbow Lounge, which is similar to GASP. So we are introducing our programs at Polson as well, so that when they come up to the high school, they'll hopefully know Justin and myself and some of the other staff and feel more at ease of getting involved in our stuff. I'm trying to think of, do you guys have any questions? I want to open it up to you guys.
The other thing I did want to point out, so we are part of the Positive Youth Development team, but we do have Madison Youth and Family Services has a full clinical team as well that is accessible. So if you have a young person, we have staff person, our colleague Erin Corbett, who is in the school at all times and office there. But also, I don't know if Madison folk always know the resource that we have in our clinical team. And if there's a young person in your life that may need some services, may need some support, we are more than happy to help connect families and youth and whole folk to those resources and services.
Yeah, and we also have a social services component to youth services. So any family with financial need, definitely reach out to our office. You can find all the information on our website or Facebook page. And I know with COVID, many more families are in need of financial assistance. So really just feel free to reach out to us, and everything is confidential.
Melissa, I have one
Yeah.
question. Where would parents find information to share with their children about when the specific groups meet and how to get involved? I'm assuming, I mean, I know some kids are reluctant to get involved after the start of a term, but I'm assuming all these groups are continuously open for new members throughout the term.
Actually, I think Mr. Bodner did a great job of putting together a list of clubs. That's on the website, correct?
So they'll all be with those, the Madison Youth and Family programs are all listed with those as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Great.
And you can always look on our website, or and we do have posters that we hang up throughout the school during certain times of the year when we are recruiting. I say we're always recruiting for all of our programs year round. So if your kids are interested in anything that we're doing, just have them reach out to us.
Great. Are they going to continue with the stall talks?
We have not done one yet, but yes, we will continue with the stall talks.
Great.
Just wondering, when is the Boys Council started?
So Boys Council has already started, and we meet Mondays after school, and that's an open group. So if male identified students want to join that group, they can. You know, it's not like you have to come every single Monday. But I'm happy to share more information on that and flyers on that and info on that if you need it.
Okay, so it's every Monday.
Every Monday after school, we meet in the Career Center.
Career Center. Okay, thank you.
Of course, happy to share.
Does anyone have any other questions for either Justin or Melissa? So one of the just follow-ups on Kyler's question is we We want to continually share the information about what happens after school at hand, especially the club activity, because it's pretty exciting when the buses leave and there's not many kids on them, because they do stay after school to be engaged. What we're starting in December is Mr. Bodner and Mrs. Witcher are going to talk to a few club advisors and do just mini updates on certain clubs over the course of the next few months to encourage students and parents to be a little bit more aware of what's going on. And like Melissa said, like we always want kids to join a club. And Justin mentioned it's not a permanent commitment, but if students can show up when they're available, we're going to try and pique some interest during next month's meeting and beyond. So I'm sure you'll see Justin and Melissa again. We're going to have a few students join from certain clubs and try and do some time at each PTO meeting, highlighting a few clubs, you know, over the months, and hopefully some kids and parents, you know, realize all the different activities that go on at hand. And also keep in mind that if you miss the first meeting or the second or ninth, it doesn't matter. You can show up at any time and kids are always welcome. I have parents reach out all the time saying, you know, my child has nothing to do after school. Can you make a suggestion? And we have lots of suggestions. So if you have that type of personal question, you know, feel free to reach out to me privately. I know this isn't always the venue in front of lots of people in a recorded session, but the integration of Madison Youth and Family Services in our school is excellent. Our relationship's really fantastic and we appreciate it. They do great work and are great support for our kids, and we work together really well. So I just wanted to thank Melissa and Justin for their work, Erin Corbett as well. She's not on, you know, right now the actual Zoom, but they do excellent work and they're tremendous resources for our kids and supports as well, both in and outside of the school community. So Melissa and Justin, you'll hear from us again very soon. You know, keep December 7th at 8 a.m. available in your calendar if you can, because that's our next meeting.
Thank you, TJ. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Thanks for your time, Melissa and Justin. And our last topic was just an informational piece, was the focus on the end of the trimester. I will say, I can't believe we're talking about the end of the trimester already. It's going by very quickly. Right now, barring any school cancellations, which hopefully won't happen, we're looking at the December 3rd as the end of trimester 1. That happens to be a Friday, which means December 7th or December 5th, excuse me. Actually, I have to get my dates right on days, but December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd are trimester exams. This will be in my weekly message. And we're going back to our original format for exams. You know, there'll be 2 sessions each day. The first session is a 7:25 to 9:25. It's a 2-hour window. There's a 10-minute break in between, and then a second session, 9:35 to 11:35. Dismissal on the exam days is 11:35 a.m. Couple of things to keep in mind. If a student does not have a particular class, let's say period 1, let's say a freshman has a study hall, they're more than welcome to come to school, sit in the dining and assembly hall and library and maybe prep for period 2, but they also don't have to come to school during a free period or a lunch period during exam days, because we're not having our regular schedule and classes will not meet. We'll meet 2 periods a day. So December 1st, periods 1 and 2, December 2nd, 3 and 4, and then on the 3rd, 5 and 6. We do not print schedules, as a reminder, for trimester 2. We try to stay environmentally friendly, so take a look on Infinite Campus. All kids know their schedules already. One other piece that will be the most common question are exemptions for seniors. If your child is a senior, I really encourage you and your child to read pages 34 and 35 of our Student and Family Handbook. There's a lot of detailed information about the senior exemption policy, and it's a motivator for our kids. I will say, you know, it's for end of trimester courses. So a 1 trimester course, the exemption policy applies to a senior. A 2 trimester course, the exemption policy would not apply to a senior until the end of T2. And if it's a 3 trimester course, there's probably not an exemption just based on the course, but if there is, it would not pertain to anything but the 3rd trimester. And students who are seniors with an 89.5 or higher average in their class are exempt from certain exams. Again, I would pay particular attention to what's in our handbook because we list the courses where there are no exemptions, but I will say it is a great motivator for our seniors to work hard throughout, especially during trimester 3. when senioritis seems to have struck most of our kids. You know, that motivation is helpful, but that information will be very detailed in my weekly message this Friday, and I'll send a reminder out just a couple of Fridays before the end of the trimester. But this year, as most, is flying by. So, you know, again, we wanted to keep you up to date with the calendar. And one more, I'll throw a plug out there. Our fall play is happening next week on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 7 p.m. It's Clue. You know, the fact that we're actually going to have an audience, masks are required, and being able to support our students in the cast and crew, I'm looking forward to it. So if you have a free night, this information is also in my weekly message on Friday. You can buy tickets in advance online or at the door. We're hoping to get a big crowd because we missed that last year. We had some performances. They were excellent. It just wasn't the same without an audience that was in attendance. So we are looking forward to that occurring next week and then moving through the rest of the year as close to normal as possible. So my final message that I will share with everyone, outside of just thanks for sending us great kids, it's so nice to have everyone in the building every day. If you have any particular topics you want us to consider for a PTO meeting in the future, you can email any of the executive board or me, and we'll talk about that and plan accordingly. We want these meetings to be meaningful to all of the parents and guardians who participate, as well as the people who view. And then also, just as a reminder, any concerns, you know, specific to your children, don't wait, call an administrator or a counselor, and we'll, you know, provide whatever support necessary, or, you know, look at our options. Don't wait till the end of the year. If you have concerns, reach out to us and we'll happily get involved. And email, phone call, perfectly appropriate, whatever works best for you. So if you have any questions at this time, we have a couple of minutes before our 9 o'clock end time. Feel free to jump in. If not, we'll end the meeting. And I do want to just thank everyone for participating. I know how busy calendars are. All right, everyone, I appreciate your time. Have a great rest of the day, and thank you again for attending. Enjoy the day.
You too. Thank you.